What if I told you that the girl everyone laughed at for wearing the same torn jeans every day would one day make Simon Cowell cry? What if I told you that the same girl, who was bullied for shopping at thrift stores, would go on to sign a record deal worth $10 million? This isn't some fairy tale. This isn't Hollywood magic. This is the true story of Emma Rodriguez. And what happened when she opened her mouth on stage will shake you to your core. But here's the part that'll change everything you believe about success. Emma didn't just have a good voice. She discovered something so powerful about human potential that it completely destroys the myth that your circumstances determine your destiny. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will either transform your life forever, or you'll make the same excuses that keep 99% of people trapped in mediocrity. Let me take you back to Roosevelt High School in Detroit, 2019. Picture this. It's Monday morning, and 16-year-old Emma Rodriguez walks through the hallway wearing the same faded jeans she's worn for 3 weeks straight. Not by choice, because they're the only pair that still fit her after her mom lost 30 pounds from working double shifts and stress. Emma's sneakers have holes in them. Her backpack is held together with duct tape. Her lunch? A peanut butter sandwich on day-old bread from the dollar store. But none of that hurt as much as the whispers that followed her everywhere. Look at thrift store Emma. Doesn't she own any other clothes? Someone should start a GoFundMe for her wardrobe. But here's what those bullies didn't know. Emma's mom, Maria, was working 3 jobs just to keep their tiny apartment. Gas station attendant from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., house cleaner from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., and night shift at a diner from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. She was literally working herself to death so Emma could stay in school. Emma's dad? He'd walked out when she was 12, leaving behind nothing but unpaid bills and broken promises. Every morning, Emma would stand in front of her cracked mirror and tell herself, "Today will be different. Today I'll be invisible. Today no one will notice me." But invisibility is impossible when you're different. And Emma was different in ways that went far beyond her secondhand clothes. You see, Emma had a secret. Something she'd hidden from everyone, including her exhausted mother. Every night, after her mom left for the diner, Emma would close her bedroom door, put on her grandmother's old headphones, and sing. Not just sing. She would pour her soul into every note. All the pain, all the shame, all the dreams she was too afraid to speak out loud. It all came out through her voice. Emma had been doing this since she was 8 years old. Her grandmother, before she passed, used to say, "Mija, you have an angel's voice trapped in a broken world. One day, that angel will set you free." But Emma had learned to keep her gift hidden, because in her world, dreams were luxuries they couldn't afford. Survival was the only priority. Then came the day that changed everything. It was April 15th, 2019. Emma's English teacher, Mrs. Patterson, announced that the school will be holding auditions for the annual Spring Talent Show. The winner would get a $500 scholarship and the chance to perform at the district-wide arts festival. $500. To Emma, that wasn't just money. That was groceries for a month. That was her mom not having to work a double shift. That was hope. But as Emma sat in the back of the classroom, planning her audition, she heard the popular kids laughing. "Can you imagine if Emma auditioned?" said Madison, the head cheerleader. "What would she even do? A fashion show?" The whole class erupted in laughter. Emma's face burned with shame. She looked down at her worn-out sneakers and made a decision that almost cost her everything. She decided not to audition. For 3 weeks, Emma watched other students prepare for the talent show. She listened to them practice in the hallways. She saw them getting support from friends and family. And every night, she went home and sang to her empty room, wondering what if. But sometimes the universe has other plans. The day of the talent show arrived. Emma had convinced herself she was better off in the audience, invisible as always. She sat in the back row of the auditorium, watching her classmates perform their rehearsed routines. There were dancers, comedians, a few singers who were, okay, nothing special, nothing that moved the audience. The judges, 3 teachers and a local radio DJ, looked bored. Then disaster struck. Kelsey Morrison, the girl everyone expected to win, was supposed to close the show. She was the music teacher's favorite, had private vocal lessons, and always got the solos in choir. But 15 minutes before her performance, she got violently sick from nerves and couldn't go on. Mrs. Patterson took the stage and announced, "We need one more performer, or we'll have to end the show early. Anyone? Anyone at all?" The auditorium fell silent. 400 students, and no one volunteered. That's when Emma felt it. A voice inside her head that sounded exactly like her grandmother. "Mija, your moment is here. Don't let fear steal your destiny." Before she could think, before she could talk herself out of it, Emma stood up. "I'll do it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The auditorium turned to look at her. You could hear the murmur starting. Is that Emma Rodriguez? What is she going to do? This should be interesting. Emma walked down the aisle, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. She climbed the steps to the stage, and suddenly she was standing in front of 400 people who had spent years treating her like she was invisible. Mrs. Patterson handed her the microphone and whispered, "What song would you like to sing?" Emma closed her eyes and said, "I'll sing Imagine by John Lennon." The piano player nodded and began the gentle introduction. Emma stood there for a moment, looking out at the sea of faces. She saw Madison in the front row, smirking. She saw the jocks who had made fun of her clothes. She saw teachers who had overlooked her for years. And then she opened her mouth. The first note that came out was so pure, so powerful, that the entire auditorium went dead silent. It was as if everyone had stopped breathing. Emma sang about imagining no possessions, and every word carried the weight of a girl who truly understood what it meant to have nothing. She sang about peace, and her voice cracked with the pain of someone who had known only struggle. But as she continued, something magical happened. Her voice grew stronger, more confident, more beautiful. By the time she reached the chorus, people were crying. Not just a few people, dozens of people. The same kids who had mocked her clothes were now mesmerized by the angel that had been hiding in plain sight. Emma sang with her eyes closed, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly free. All the shame, all the fear, all the years of feeling less than, it all melted away in those 3.5 minutes. When the last note faded, the auditorium was silent for what felt like an eternity. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Then suddenly, the entire auditorium erupted in thunderous applause. People were on their feet, crying, cheering, and staring at Emma like they were seeing her for the first time. Because they were. The radio DJ, a man named Marcus Williams who had been in the music industry for 20 years, had tears streaming down his face. He grabbed the microphone and said, "In 20 years of discovering talent, I have never, and I mean never, heard anything like what we just witnessed. Emma Rodriguez, you don't just have a voice, you have a gift." But the real shock came when Marcus walked backstage after the show. "Emma," he said, "I want to introduce you to someone." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Hey, it's Marcus. Remember when you told me to call you if I ever found someone truly special? Well, I found her. Her name is Emma Rodriguez, and she's going to change everything." The person on the other end of the phone was Rebecca Chun, a talent scout for Atlantic Records. Within 48 hours, Rebecca was on a plane to Detroit. She sat in Emma's tiny living room, surrounded by secondhand furniture and stacks of unpaid bills, and offered Emma something that seemed impossible, a recording contract. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. Emma's first single, Invisible, was about her experience of being overlooked and underestimated. She wrote it in her bedroom, the same room where she'd been hiding her voice for years. The song was released 6 months later. Within 24 hours, it had over 1 million streams. Within a week, it was #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But the real impact wasn't commercial. It was personal. Emma started receiving thousands of messages from kids around the world who felt invisible, who were being bullied, who thought their circumstances defined their potential. Her voice became a symbol of hope for anyone who had ever been told they weren't good enough. Madison, the girl who had laughed at Emma's clothes, posted a public apology on Instagram. "I was wrong about Emma Rodriguez. I was wrong about a lot of things. Her voice taught me that we never know what gifts people are hiding behind their struggles. Emma's mom quit 2 of her 3 jobs. For the first time in years, she could sleep at night without worrying about rent. And Emma, she used her platform to start a foundation that provides music education to underprivileged kids. Because she understood that talent exists everywhere, but opportunity doesn't. But here's what this story is really about. It's not about Emma Rodriguez becoming famous. It's about the power of recognizing that your current circumstances are not your final destination. Emma discovered what I call the hidden potential principle. The idea that every person has gifts that the world needs to see, but most people let fear and shame keep those gifts buried. Think about it. Emma had the same voice on the day she was mocked for her clothes as she did on the day she stunned everyone on stage. The difference wasn't her talent. The difference was her decision to stop hiding. How many Emma Rodriguez stories are walking around right now, convinced they're not good enough? How many people are letting their circumstances convince them that their dreams are impossible? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Emma's bullies didn't create her insecurity. They just reflected back the story Emma was already telling herself about her worth. The moment Emma changed her internal story from, "I'm not good enough," to, "I have something the world needs to hear," everything changed. But here's the part that might shock you. Emma's success wasn't just about talent. It was about timing, preparation, and most importantly, the courage to act when the moment presented itself. Emma had been preparing for that moment her entire life. Every night of singing alone in her room. Every time she'd been knocked down and gotten back up. Every struggle that had given her something real to sing about. When opportunity knocked, Emma was ready. Right now, as you're watching this video, you have gifts that the world needs to see. Maybe it's not singing. Maybe it's writing or teaching or building things or solving problems. But I guarantee you this, whatever your gift is, you're probably underestimating it. You're probably telling yourself the same story Emma told herself for years. "I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. People like me don't get opportunities like that." That's garbage. Emma Rodriguez proves that talent doesn't discriminate based on your address, your bank account, or your wardrobe. Excellence can emerge from anywhere at any time, from anyone who's willing to stop hiding and start shining. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Right now, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. What gift have you been hiding from the world? What story are you telling yourself about why you can't pursue it? What would happen if you decided to stop hiding and start shining? Because here's the truth that most people can't handle. 5 years from now, you'll either be living proof that transformation is possible, or you'll still be making excuses about why it's not. Emma Rodriguez didn't have connections. She didn't have money. She didn't have the right clothes or the right background. But she had something more powerful than all of that. She had the courage to stop hiding her light. Your moment is coming. It might be today. It might be tomorrow. But when it arrives, will you be ready to step into the spotlight? Or will you let fear keep your gifts buried forever? The choice is yours. But remember Emma's story. Remember that the same voice that changed your life was always there, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Your voice is waiting too. Don't let the world miss out on what you have to offer. Your time is now. Make it count.